I've learned many things from trees. One of them is about time, how trees expand time for me. Because trees live much longer lives than we do. They live 10 times longer than we do, and they evolve very slowly. And so what I have learned is that I need to slow down to the time of tree time. I tend to be very impatient, and I walk fast and I talk fast, but when I'm with trees, I learn that I have to slow down in order to make my observations, in order to make my experiments, in order to understand what trees do, how they live, and why they're important. But I've also learned about resilience, the idea that trees can't move from one place to another. They can't, when they're attacked by beetles, for example, or if there's a big drought and it's very dry, they can't just get up and walk to somewhere else. Instead, they have to respond to that. They have to respond in ways that allow them to survive, even if their environment is troubling them. And so I think that humans, myself included, have to learn that we can't just run away from our problems, that sometimes we have to stay where we are, that we have to do the work in the place where we are in order to improve our lives. So I think one of the really important contributions that Lynn Margulis provided for biologists, especially evolutionary biologists, is that she came to understand that the forces of symbiosis, of collaboration, of cooperation, of exchange of ideas, of materials, of water, of nutrients, are as important as competition is. And I think many of the scientists who preceded Lynn Margulis, many of them were male, saw the world in terms of competition, that one thing had to fight against another, one had to win and one had to lose. But what Lynn Margulis provided were many models, many examples of how collaboration and cooperation can help shape and form evolution. And so that's something that I have brought into my work, looking in the forest canopy, that the plants that live in the canopy create soils that in turn are accessible to the trees themselves, and that there isn't just competition out there, but there's actually an interweaving of interactions of species, of nutrients, of water, and resources. And that's really how the forest as a whole works together. So one of the things that my colleagues and I have been working on is bringing nature to people who are incarcerated in prisons and jails and juvenile detention centers, places where they live and where they work are almost entirely without nature. And especially in the part of the prison that is solitary confinement, where they keep the most violent inmates, there is really no nature at all. It's all just concrete cells with 1 hour a day where they get to go to an exercise room. And so our way of getting nature to them was to show them nature videos, because we couldn't bring plants or animals or lectures to them. And what we learned was that when we showed nature videos to the men on one part of the cell block of solitary confinement versus the other men who did not watch nature videos, we found that the men who watched these nature videos for just 1 hour a day for a year committed 26% fewer violent infractions. That is, they became less violent as a result of their watching these nature videos. So to me, it shows that not only does nature have a place in prisons, but it also shows us how important nature is in terms of our behavior, the way we feel, our emotions, that nature has a calming effect. It reduces stress and anxiety and aggression. And I think what we learned in these solitary confinement prison cells is something that we might relate to other places where there's not much nature. Places like senior assisted living centers, where older people just can't get out to nature, so we need to bring nature to them. People who work in toll booths, or people who work with highways, people who work in factories. These are places that we need to bring nature to, since nature doesn't naturally occur there. And I think we will see changes, positive differences in behavior and attitude and emotions of those people who live and work without the benefit of nature.